Hey everybody, this is Sky, and when I want to know what's going on in the wonderful world of sports, I tune to Sports World Radio.
Hey, this is J-Man from Autopsy Live and the Skype Pirates. When I want to make it look like I don't give a shit about sports, I tune into Sports World Radio with Jeff Escow.
Jeff
Doing bad time. Doing bad time. Got myself a problem.
Live from San Diego, it's Sports World Radio. You've never heard a sports show like this. Oh, no, you haven't.
Oh, blow me.
You got it.
Holy fucking shit.
What in the hell is your major malfunction?
Can't believe that goddamn son of a bitch did that fucking crap.
Don't give me any of your shit.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. Those are your hosts, Jeff Escow and Sean Mann. Remember, those who can't play sports, talk about it. These two tell it like it is. Tune into Sports World Radio for the fastest hour of sports of your life. So here they are, the douchebags of sports themselves, Jeff Escow and Sean Mann.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to Sports World Radio. Glad everybody's here today. We got a jam-packed show for you guys. Lots and lots and lots of stuff to get to. So we're going to get to it in just a bit, but you know what? We got to get all the particulars out of the way. So let's do that. I am the host, Jeff Escow. We'll bring Sean in, man. We'll bring Sean Mann in just a minute. 619-663-3715. 619-663-3715 is the number to get in touch with us here at Sports World Radio. If you have Skype and you want to get in touch with us, Sports World Radio Show on Skype. That's right. That's Sports World Radio Show on Skype. You can get in touch with us that way. Or send your emails to swrshow@gmail.com. That's swrshow@gmail.com. Now, while you're doing all of that and you're hanging out at sportsworldradio.com, click that little donate button there at sportsworldradio.com and donate to Sports World Radio and help keep doing what we like to do here at Sports World Radio, and that's entertain you with some kick-ass sports talk each and every Monday through Friday right here on sportsworldradio.com. All right, facebook.com/sportsworldradio, facebook.com/sportsworldradio. Go like our Facebook page. And while you're doing that, follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/sportsworldradio, twitter.com/sportsworldradio. Now, with all the particulars out of the way, what do you say? Hey, we bring in that co-host of ours, Sean Mann, the update man. What's going on there, buddy?
I am doing good, Jeff. Welcome, everybody, to March 25th, 2015. It is Wednesday on a very cloudy, wet, rainy day out here in the land of potatoes. It is 6:05 p.m. on the East Coast, which makes it 3:05 p.m. on the West Coast. How are you, Jeff? And happy hump day.
Happy hump day. I'm doing great. The weather is beautiful out here like it always is. You know how that goes. The weather's gorgeous out here like it always is. It's beautiful, sunny San Diego. In fact, we're kind of in a freaking heat wave right now, which kind of stinks. But what are you going to do about that? Can't really do too much about that, can you?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, hey,
Right.
We're in a freaking heat wave. What are you going to do? Not a whole bunch of shit. So, hey, you move on. Turn the air conditioner on before the show. You keep it on. And then when the show starts, you turn it off. That's what you do.
As long as it doesn't get too hot in the studio. As long as it stays cool.
Well, it's going to be freaking hot towards the end of this week here, and we're expecting the mid to high 90s. So it might even hit triple digits out here. Hey, there's Sean, the program director of Sports World Radio in the house, in the chat room. If you're hanging out in the chat room and you're just listening, don't be afraid. Type away, ask a question. There's tons of people that hang out in this chat room that never, ever type. You know that? Never, ever type. You know why? Because they're afraid that we might rip them for saying something stupid. Well, if you say something stupid, you deserve to get ripped. So just don't say nothing stupid.
Anyway, other than that, we still have a lot of stuff to get to for the sports show, Jeff, for Sports World Radio. And welcome, Josh Lopez. The shout out to you, buddy, the producer of Sports World Radio. We're going to start the show off 7 minutes after the hour, Jeff, with one of the big stories that's happened in the NBA. After 39 long years of ups and downs for the Golden State Warriors, they have officially clinched the Pacific Division for the first time since 1976.
It's about time, ain't it?
Golden State Warriors, congratulations.
It's about time, ain't it?
It is about time. I did watch the ending of the game, and you saw jubilation, elation, joy, happiness that the Warriors finally do it. 1976 was a very, very long time ago when the Warriors last time won the Pacific Division. You're talking about the time when Gerald Ford was president of the United States, and things were way, way different back in that era. Now you go 39 years later, and Steve Kerr comes in there, and the Warriors are so much improved. Last night, Jeff, they talked about this too. Okay, they talked about, can the Warriors do it? Can the Warriors actually win the NBA championship this year?
I think so. I mean, it's going to be tough climbing out of the West, but sure.
I believe they can. I don't know who really can shut them down. Josh, I know you'll have some good opinions about the Golden State Warriors too, and I know that everybody would like to see a new team win for the NBA championship.
I'd like to see totally 2 new teams in it if we get it. I'm totally okay with that. Totally open with that. 100% open with that.
Yeah, I'm up for it too because it would be great. Everybody would like to see new teams in the NBA Finals. It would be great to see Cleveland not make the finals and see LeBron miss the NBA championship again. The Warriors are some special team. But, Shaquille O'Neal said on Inside the NBA last night after the news was reported that the Warriors won, and this is big for, of course, especially for San Francisco, a city that's had a lot of success of late because you had the Giants winning the World Series, the A's making the playoffs, the Raiders not very successful, and now all of a sudden a lot of people would think, who would have thought that the Warriors, after all these ups and downs, would have done it? A lot of the Warrior players were saying this is a great thing for the franchise. Steve Kerr, the first-year head coach, comes in there. Nobody really knew what to expect out of them, but they did it. But Shaq made a very good point saying, he goes, it's championship or bust. Everybody's wondering, is there a team that can give the Warriors a tough time in the NBA playoffs? I just don't know.
I'm hoping we get to see it like that. I would love to see totally 2 new teams in it. Would be freaking awesome. You know that, right? It would be not even LeBron James. In San Antonio, Cleveland and San Antonio don't make it, I'm okay with that too.
The Warriors will get the home court advantage throughout all of the playoffs, but the question is, like everybody's wondering, what's the team out there that can beat them? The first-round matchup they would have, if the playoffs started today, the Warriors would match up against the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, and what a hell of a matchup that would be, huh? That's a heck of a that's a heck of a matchup, dude, and that's the 1 seed against the 8 seed, and that's a hell of a matchup. I mean, you could see Oklahoma City winning that series, right?
Right.
Is that series 7 or 5?
That series in the first round is a best of 7.
So they're all 7 now, right?
They're all 7 because David Stern put that in for the 2002-2003 NBA playoffs. That was 02-03.
Well, it's a good thing. It's a good thing it's 7 because if it was a 5-game series, I could see Oklahoma winning it.
Josh, buddy, that's a good point. The Warriors, unfortunately, will fizzle out to a great defense in the Memphis Grizzlies. You know what, buddy? I could agree with you. I think Memphis could be the team that could really give the Warriors a challenge. Dallas, I will rule them out. San Antonio, they are the defending champions until somebody beats them. I would say that Memphis or maybe Houston, I'm not sure, but the Warriors, like Terry Stotts said last night, the Portland Trailblazers head coach, he said, the Warriors are one darn good basketball team.
No crap. What do you think Steve Kerr went there instead of going to the Knicks? No crap. Golden State won the series with Oklahoma City 3-1 this year.
Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of funny because if it stays like this in the West, Oklahoma will play the Thunder. Thunder will play Golden State. Golden State's won the series 3-1 this year. Memphis will play the Mavericks. Memphis has won the series 3-1 this year. Houston and Spurs, they haven't finished up yet. Their series is tied 1-1. And the Clippers in Portland, Clippers lead that series 2-1. They still have a couple more games to play left in that series as well. So it's kind of interesting that they pretty all match up pretty close, except for the first two series. The bottom two series match up pretty tight. And right now in the East, because I'm looking at the East right now, Boston Celtics are in the 8th seed right now. You know that, right?
And I have to say, real quickly with the Celtics, I'll get to Jeff. Will get to your question here soon, Josh. But the Celtics, I don't want them making the playoffs.
Why is that?
It's not good that they're winning these games because they're easily going to lose against the Atlanta Hawks. A. B, they are not even close to being there. And C, they still have to find some big men. I do give Brad Stevens props for trying to make the team better because everybody expected that they were going to finish an NBA worst, maybe like 24-58, or really, really be bad, since the late 1990s. But I don't think this is not good for the Celtics. I want them to lose every game and try to get a very good NBA draft pick and really try to see what's out there for the free agency in the offseason when that starts in July.
Yeah.
And Josh has a question, Jeff. Who wins the MVP in the NBA?
My pick?
Your pick.
My pick? Stephon Marbury. No doubt about it. Stephon Marbury. No doubt about it. That's my pick. There you go. Stephon Marbury. But I'm looking in the East here. So Atlanta's going to play the 8th seed. So that'll be Boston. Cleveland will play the 7th seed, which is Miami right now.
That's what I was saying.
That's what
for
I
the
want.
last few weeks. LeBron James goes up against his former team, the Miami Heat.
That's the series we want, boys and girls. That's the series we want. Even though Cleveland will have the home court in that for the first round in that series, I don't care.
That would be the all-time upset special I would love to have, Jeff, just to see LeBron get knocked out by his former team, and he gets upset, and he walks off the court, and he loses.
Now, not only that, Sean, I want him to get knocked out of the series in Miami.
That would be sweet to see that happen, and I think Miami very well could do it. And I know, Josh, you were saying in the chat room on previous shows that that's a series you would not want to spend your time watching. Now, Josh, I got to mention this too, buddy. The Chicago Bulls would open up against
the Bucks.
The Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, but the Bulls lead that series 3-0. Miami leads the Cleveland series 2-1, so they still have one more game to play in that one. But that's an interesting series. Very interesting series. I would love to see Miami knock out Cleveland in Miami. And all you're going to see is Andrew Browning Bastard's face just be like,
He'll disappear. He will not even want to come to the show because everybody's going to be busting his chops.
He's listening right now. He just hasn't typed in yet to say hello. So when Miami beats Cleveland in the playoffs this year, what are you going to say then, Mr. Browning Bastard, huh? What are you going to say then, you rat bastard, Browning Bastard, huh?
He will put his LeBron James jersey away because I conference called with him one time. He showed me in his room his LeBron James jersey that he got from the Cleveland Cavaliers.
He's a rat bastard.
Now another matchup
Sean, he's not a sports team fan. He's a sports person fan. So whatever team LeBron James plays for is the team he's going to root for. So in that case, what happens if LeBron does not sign with Cleveland next year and goes, just say for instance, because I know it's not going to happen, just for instance, goes to the Knicks? Does that mean now he's going to be a Knicks fan?
That's right.
Thanks a lot.
He will follow he'll go wherever LeBron James go, and that's exactly what we've seen from years past about how fans hop on that wagon and follow LeBron wherever he goes. Like people could say, oh, we'll be Heat fans because LeBron is there. Now we're Cleveland fans because LeBron went back up to Cleveland. We'll be Knicks fans if he goes to New York.
That's a joke and a half. Hey, Kathy, welcome to the show. That's a joke and a half.
Hey, Kathy, I am so tired of LeBron this and LeBron that. That's why I just don't want to see him in the NBA Finals. But I can tell you one thing, that everybody would like to see LeBron James, the LeBron James fans, but the anti-LeBron people would not like having him in the NBA Finals. And Kathy, I know where you live down in Florida. I know you and I are the big Celtic fans. We got so sick and tired of always seeing the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals, and how lucky they got in 2012, beating the Celtics in 7 games. And that was a good series, but I was frustrated with the loss. But
yeah, but
anyway.
I'm just, you know what? If the playoffs started tomorrow, it's Cleveland and Miami. And it's Celtics and it's Atlanta and the Celtics, Cleveland and Miami, Chicago and the Milwaukee, Toronto and the Wizards. Okay, I'm really interested to see what happens in this Miami-Cleveland series because I really, sorry, Skippy, really want to see Miami knock Cleveland out. I really do. I think it would be so much better for the NBA if LeBron James is not in the finals.
Kathy, bad idea if you want to see Miami lose, because no, Kathy, that's a bad thing to say, because everybody would like to see that first round matchup. LeBron goes up against his former team,
Correct.
the Heat, the team he helped win 2 NBA championships.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Kathy. Do you like LeBron better? Or let me see, who do you like more? LeBron's Cleveland Cavaliers or the Miami Heat? Wouldn't you rather see the Miami Heat knock out LeBron and the Cleveland Cavaliers? Especially, I would love to see it be done in Miami.
The Celtics and the Cavs is a bad idea, Kathy, because that's an easy series for the Cavaliers. I'm sorry, got to break it to you.
Well, the Celtics and the Cavs won't play each other because the Celtics are just barely making the playoffs in the 8th spot.
I don't even want the Celtics to make the playoffs.
I know you don't.
Sorry, Kathy, but that's the way I see it.
I know you don't.
They got way too many holes they got to fill. They're not there yet. They're like
Charlotte's
a few years
full
away
game.
from being competitive.
Charlotte's a full game behind Boston for the 8th spot. So the only way Boston's getting knocked out is if Charlotte and Indiana do it. That's it.
And I don't even, like I said, they are not making it. I don't even see the Celtics making it. So I would say kiss it goodbye. And I don't even see, I hate to break it to you, Kathy, and I explained this to you on Facebook Messenger. I don't even see both the Bruins and the Celtics making it. I'm speaking as an honest fan. I'm not trying to be biased and say, oh, they're going to go all the way and win the championships. No. Well, Celtics and Bruins and Celtics are not good this year.
I'm kind of shocked to see the Celtics in this playoff chase, to tell you the truth.
They've been playing better. I think they've won like 11 out of the last 16 games, so they've been playing better of late. But this is not good that they're doing this.
I'm surprised that they're actually making the playoffs. You know, and they're actually, you're right. Brad Stevens is going to play really good basketball, doesn't he? And that's only his 2nd year in the league, correct?
Yeah.
He's got him playing really good ball finally. He's got him playing his ball now. You know, next year and the year after that, they might be able to make their push. But he's pushing now. I'm kind of shocked with that. That's not bad. But I happen to agree with you. You should lose some games, get knocked out of the playoffs, and get a good draft pick.
And figure out what's available for the free agency.
Exactly.
And that's why Miami Cleveland is going to be it's going to be create my opinion big ratings for the NBA.
You know what's going to happen, right? The NBA the NBA Commissioner Adam Silver is going to go to the referees and say, make sure LeBron and the Cavs win this series.
Exactly.
And that's ridiculous.
Exactly. They try to make sure, the NBA and the officials try to do whatever they can to give LeBron James the games. Now, the number 4 matchup in the Eastern Conference, if the playoffs started today, because remember this, the NBA season ends 3 weeks from today, by the way, and it would be the Toronto Raptors taking on the Washington Wizards. What would you think of that matchup, Jeff?
Well, Toronto has won that series 3-0 so far. So it seems like Toronto's got a handle on how the Wizards play. Wizard hasn't been able to figure out Toronto, but Toronto has been able to figure out the Wizards. Now, again, that doesn't really mean crap, and the series during the season doesn't mean crap because it's playoff basketball. Okay, and playoff basketball is different than regular season basketball. Okay, just because Toronto beat Washington 3 times, 3 games to none this year so far, they got 1 more game left, doesn't mean anything. Same thing with the Chicago Bulls and the Milwaukee Bucks. Chicago Bulls leading the series 3-0. That don't mean nothing.
What matters is that the season and the playoffs, 2 different things. That's regular season. It's when the playoffs come, that's when it counts.
Right. You know what happens? You know what happens when the playoff comes? Every team is 0-0, ain't they?
Every team is 0-0, and
exactly.
Only one team needs 16 wins to capture the NBA championship trophy.
Every team is 0-0, and what happened during the regular season doesn't really matter anymore. What happens, it matters to what happens now.
And when you get to the month of March, when the calendar flips from February to March, this is kind of crunch time. This is when all the teams that are qualifying to get into the NBA playoffs and try and have winning records start fighting for top seeds. But of course, other teams have to start off with fighting on the road. Now, another game that was big last night, we talked about this, about Dallas Mavericks, about their schedule being tough. The Dallas Mavericks did something last night they had to do, Jeff, and that was they went home and they beat the San Antonio Spurs 101-94. And remember, it was a few days ago, Rick Carlisle ripped and blasted his team about the way they played against the Phoenix Suns.
Really? Well, Rick Carlisle's blasting his team, and he's the coach. So what does that say about him? If he says his team doesn't play hard all the time, that's what he said, right?
Yeah, that's what he said. The team doesn't play hard enough. They're lackadaisical.
And
they're
whose
terrible.
fault is that? Whose fault is that, Carlisle? Huh?
That's the coach's fault.
Damn Skippy it is. So you know what you're telling everybody? You're telling everybody that they don't want to listen to you no more. Is basically what you're saying. Time for a new head coach. Time for a new head coach. If the coach is saying they don't play hard all the time, that's a direct reflection on the head coach. He's not motivating them enough to play hard all the time. He's got to go.
And with Mark Cuban knowing that he heard that, you know very well that Mark Cuban can be like Jerry Jones, because Mark Cuban is not an easy man to work for, and Mark Cuban will not tolerate failure and losing and seeing players give up and seeing players not want to play for their coach. That's a bad sign.
He's got to go. If Carlisle is saying that they don't play hard all the time for me, and he didn't put the words for me in there, but I'm adding that because basically that's what he's saying. They don't play hard all the time for me anymore. He's got to go. He's lost the locker room. He's got to go. It's time for him to go. That's what that says to me.
Time for him to go and then figure out what direction the team really needs to go with for a new head coach.
That's what that says to me right there. It's time for him to go because they're not listening to him anymore. They're not playing hard for him no more. They're not listening to him. Time for a new head coach, buddy.
Rick Carlisle was very thrilled last night. He says, too much Monta tonight, don't you think? Mavericks coach Rick Carlisle said, quote, the fact that we got in transition got him some easy baskets early and got him rolling. For a Dallas Mavericks team that needed the game, the Mavericks have currently right now the number 7 seed in the Western Conference. San Antonio, of course, is at a battle with like 5th and 6th. This Western Conference, when you look at the standings we already know Golden State's got everything wrapped up. We already know that Memphis does. But if you look at what's going on between 3 through 8, it's a back and forth battle.
It is.
And I can't wait to see this go right down to the wire to see exactly where all these teams are going to be for playoff seeding. And I think with Dallas, you go back to them, Jeff, maybe the players were kind of like, we didn't, maybe we need to listen to our coach. And that's exactly what they did, because Carlisle, it was kind of like mood swings. One moment he's unhappy, and then the next moment he's really disgusted. He's disgusted. And then he's really excited with jubilation and saying, great, we played a good game tonight. But the question with the Mavericks is, remember, I did read to you, Jeff, about the Mavericks schedule. They have a tough schedule all the way to April 15th.
Really?
Their schedule's tough.
That's good. That's good. They need a tough schedule, don't they?
Yes, and Dallas playoffs started today. The Mavericks, Jeff, would open up against the Memphis Grizzlies.
The Memphis Grizzlies. And I could see Memphis winning that series easy.
I can see
Memphis
that happening
knocking
too.
them out 4-0 and be done with it. And Carlisle out the door the very next day.
Because Mark Cuban will not tolerate with a sweep. He'll be very fed up with it. Of course, he remembers last year, Dallas narrowly, and they were very close to doing it, almost knocked out the San Antonio Spurs, and that was the only toughest test that the Spurs had, because then after that, they just went on a roll, and they played red hot in the month of May, and then they were able to capture the NBA championship in 5 games against Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other thing is that Houston, speaking of San Antonio, Jeff, how about this matchup possibly for the first round? Houston Rockets playing the San Antonio Spurs.
That's a tough matchup. It's not a lot of traveling involved in that. You know what I mean? So if they really wanted to, they could play this series really quick, because there's really not a lot of traveling for this series. Correct?
Correct.
So get this series done and over with.
I agree.
Get the series done and over. It's a 7-game series. You could play it really quick. Play it every other day and be done with it. Play it every other day and be done with it. Don't play a game and then wait 2 days to play another game where you're not even traveling. That's the one thing I hate about this playoff thing that's coming down now. They'll play one game and then they won't play for 2 days. What the hell is that all about? You're not going anywhere.
We're going to talk more about that. We have to run to our first commercial break of the day.
We'll be right back. You're listening to Jeff Escow and Sean Mann on
Sports World Radio.
This message brought to you by FEMA. Stay fire safe this winter. Turn portable heaters off when you go to bed or leave the room. Keep anything that can burn at least 3 feet away. Plug portable heaters directly into wall outlets. Inspect and replace damaged cords, broken outlets, or loose connections. Use portable heaters with an automatic shutoff so that if they tip over, they turn off. Only use portable heaters approved by a recognized testing laboratory. Learn more at www.usfa.fema.gov.
Did you know that just 30 minutes a day of physical activity can improve your health and decrease your risk of heart disease? For every hour of regular, vigorous exercise, you gain 2 hours of life expectancy. So start walking for yourself and for your heart. Start walking with your family. You'll feel better. Start walking in your community. You'll lead happier and healthier lives. Start walking. Start something. Join the movement today. For more information on the American Heart Association START program, visit startwalkingnow.org and start walking. Start something.
This message brought to you by FEMA. Be fire safe during the holidays. Only use decorations that are non-flammable or flame retardant. Check holiday lights each year for frayed wires or excessive wear. And do not link more than 3 strands. Never leave a burning candle unattended. Consider using battery-operated flameless candles which look and smell like real candles. If your celebration includes a natural tree, keep it away from any heat source or exit. Water your tree daily to keep it from becoming dry. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov.
Hey everybody, this is Sky, and when I want to know what's going on in the wonderful world of sports, I tune to Sports World Radio.
Welcome back to Sports World Radio. Jeff Escow, Sean Mann, bringing you the fastest 2 hours of sports talk each and every Monday through Friday, right here on SportsWorldRadio.com. Okay, I just want to remind you folks, like, coming out next month, is Sports World Radio's Sport Shorts. I'm putting together the membership site and everything as we speak. Everything will be ready by April 1st. I'm planning on it. Ready to go on Wednesday, April 1st. Not the full month, but almost the whole month of March will be ready to go by April 1st. And we are letting you people hear the discussions that happen while you guys are listening to the commercial breaks. Here at Sports World Radio, we are recording all the commercial breaks. So whatever Sean and I talk about during the commercial breaks, you guys will get to hear it. Now, I'm just going to let you know something right now. There is a lot of vulgar language on the commercial breaks. Ain't that so, Sean?
I second that and agree with that.
We don't hold anything back on the commercial breaks. We curse up a banshee storm on the commercial breaks to get it all out before we come on the air, pretty much. So just a little heads up there. So people with kids, if you want to let your kids listen to that, I'm just putting a disclaimer out there now. There will be a disclaimer on the web page, on the website. I promise you. Okay? You really have to be 18 years or older to hear that crap. Okay? But it will be ready. It's called SWR Sports Shorts. It will be ready for April 1st, April 2nd, right around there. So get ready for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Every single commercial break will be recorded, put on the membership site, and if you're a member, excuse me, you'll get access to every single recording from every single show. It's going to be awesome. Looking forward to that. It's going to be awesome. I was on technical support last night, late, setting everything all up. It's all set up. It's ready to freaking go. We're going to be blasting it out there. Get ready. I will show you guys and tell you guys where everybody you can sign up at when we're ready to rock and roll. All right, Sean. So before we went to break.
What we were talking about before we went to break and even during the anyway, we were talking about this too, is the fact that the NBA playoffs, the opening round will start April 18th.
You stopped yourself, didn't you? You stopped yourself, didn't you, for saying what we were talking about at the commercial break. Good man. Good
Absolutely.
Man. Good man. We don't want to give it away.
We don't want to give it away. No, right. Of course not. I was just, Jeff, what we were talking about before we went to the commercial, the NBA playoffs will start April 18th. Now, how this format goes for the opening round is the best of 7 winners. If a series goes to a best of 7, it usually ends in the first weekend of May.
Correct.
And I know, Jeff, before we went to commercial, you're very fed up with that. You're just very tired.
I hate that. I can't stand that. That's freaking bogus. Okay, and I explained why during the commercial break, especially during the Houston Rocket and San Antonio series. I explained it why during the commercial break, and guess what? I'm not going to explain it again. You're going to have to get the SWR shorts to find out what I said. How about that, Sean? You like that?
I do, and I point this out in the chat room. I blame David Stern. He was the one that made the decision to add extra playoffs.
So why can't this new commissioner cut it back?
You mean like have best of 5, best of 7, and best of 7? That would seem to have...
I say get rid of freaking one of the series altogether.
Or maybe they could play a best of 3. A best of 3 in the first round,
yes.
And a best of 7. And
a best of 3. How about this? A best of 3, a best of 5, a best of 7, a best of 7, game over, let's go home.
Correct.
Make it faster. I don't want to watch basketball till freaking August.
And Mark Cuban...
Actually, I don't mind watching basketball till August. I'm okay with that.
You got to remember, even Greg Popovich had pointed out and said, I have that story a few weeks ago that Greg Popovich had said, he says, count me out if you even consider playing NBA playoffs all the way to the month of July.
Yeah, I know. I'm with him. They don't get a short period. They only get so much time off now as it is. And you're
I
going to
agree.
freaking make them go till August? What are you,
Yes.
freaking nuts? Give them a half a month off before they got to come back? Yeah, look, you know what? I love these commissioners who say, yeah, we're all concerned about the safety of our players. But then they do stupid crap like this, extend the season, extend the playoffs, add another game during the week on a Thursday night in the NFL so a player has to play on a Sunday and then again on a Thursday. Yeah, that's not causing the player to get hurt at all. Yeah, okay, whatever. So, you know what? You commissioners, you're all a bunch of freaking liars anyway. That's what you are. You lie anyway. You say one thing and you do totally the opposite. So what's the sense of having you in office? Unbelievable.
The next story we got some other stuff to get to, Jeff. Adrian Peterson, here's the latest news. Zimmer goes, quote, expect Peterson with the Vikings. Minnesota Vikings coach Mike Zimmer reiterated for the organization's stance on the status of tailback Adrian Peterson, saying that he expects Peterson to honor his contract and play for the team in 2015.
Well, he don't want to, does he?
According to Adrian Peterson's agent, he, like you pointed out,
he wants out.
And
he wants out. So what is that going to mean? You know what that's going to mean, right? It means he'll be getting out.
And that means that the Vikings would be out, and there are two possible destinations for Adrian Peterson.
Actually, the Vikings own him. So the only way Adrian Peterson can get out of that is if the Vikings trade him. That's it. That's it. Because they're not going to cut him.
No,
because
they can't.
they want him. So one of two things are going to happen, Sean, and only one of two things are going to happen. Either Adrian Peterson is going to be playing for the Minnesota Vikings next season, or the Minnesota Vikings are going to trade him. That's the only two things that can happen. Because they own him. And they sure as hell ain't going to cut him. If they're going through all this now, they sure as hell ain't going to cut him. Right?
No, they're not going to cut him. And there are two possibilities.
There's only two possibilities. And there are
which
two
is
possibilities.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, now I'm going to say something. If the Dallas Cowboys go and get and trade for Adrian Peterson, that means that they're going to be paying Adrian Peterson $13 million this year. And they only offered DeMarco Murray $5 million for what he did for them last year. That tells me that the Dallas Cowboys have no loyalty to anybody on that team. And it tells me that Jerry Jones is a liar, because Jerry Jones said we can't afford to pay DeMarco Murray any more than $5 million, but now you're turning your tune and now you're paying somebody $13 million? That doesn't make any sense to me. That's not good business, jackass.
Not at all. And another team that has expressed maybe some interest would be the Arizona Cardinals.
Screw the Arizona Cardinals.
You don't think that Peterson would be happy going down to Arizona and playing the desert?
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Who ended their career down there?
I don't know.
Didn't Emmitt Smith end his career there?
Yes, yeah, you're right. Emmitt Smith did, and I know that Edgerrin James played there.
Another former running back, another former great running back, Emmitt Smith, ended his career with the Arizona Cardinals. When he went to the Arizona Cardinals, he was a former shell of himself. Didn't really have a good ending to his career. And you think Adrian Peterson's going to let that happen? No stinking way. There's only one team Adrian Peterson wants to go to. One team and one team only. And I'm going to tell you something. If I'm the Minnesota Vikings, I want the house for him. Because I know that that's the only team he wants to go to. So either he's playing for the Vikings or he's going to play for the Cowboys. And if I have to trade him to the Cowboys are giving me anything I want for him. That's the way it's going to be. You want him that bad? Then you got to give me what I want for him.
I agree. I really do agree with that, because when you look at it and you consider what you've seen from with Peterson and how rough last year was,
you know, that's only common sense to me. If I'm the Minnesota Vikings and Adrian Peterson tells me I want to be traded to the Dallas Cowboys, start making that happen. You make the call to the Dallas Cowboys and you say, listen, Adrian Peterson says he wants to be traded to you guys. Okay, let's make this happen. This is what I want. I'm not taking anything less. If you want Adrian Peterson, this is what you have to give up. Call me back and let me know. That's it. That's how the discussion has to go. That's it. You tell Minnesota Vikings tells the Cowboys who they want.
Absolutely, and very correct.
And you know what? On that note, we're going to run to our first update of the day. We'll be back after the commercial break, after the update and commercial break, with some more of this Adrian Peterson, Minnesota Viking, Dallas Cowboy conundrum that's going on here. Here's our first update. It's brought to you by The Flipper. Listen, boys and girls, are you tired of walking into your bathroom to see that your husband or your kids have urinated on the toilet seat? Now, you got to do one of two things. You either got to touch that toilet seat and clean it, or you can just grab the handle, grab the flipper, and flip it up and flip it down so your kids will never urinate on the toilet seat again. And neither will your husband, because you put the flipper on it. It's called the flipper. It attaches to the underside of your toilet seat, and you never, ever have to touch your toilet seat ever again to flip it up or flip it down. It's called the Flipper, and it's at flipperflipper.com. That's right, flipperflipper.com. Get your flipper today at flipperflipper.com. Take it away, Sean Man, with the first update of the day.
All right, Jeff, thank you very much, and welcome everybody for this show that we're doing, 45 minutes after the hour. NHL, here we go. The Blackhawks taking on the Flyers tonight on the NBC Sports Network. The Colorado Avalanche at the Edmonton Oilers. And lastly, the Stars are taking on the Flames. In the NBA, we're talking about basketball and where everybody is for the playoff proceedings. Wait for this to, here we go, 13 games. Nets at the Hornets, Clippers at the Knicks, Hawks at the Magic, Pacers at the Wizards. The game on ESPN starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 4 p.m. Pacific. It'll be the Bulls taking on the Raptors, Heat at the Celtics, Cavaliers at the Grizzlies, Lakers at the Timberwolves, Rockets at the Pelicans, 76ers taking on the Nuggets tonight down in Denver, Colorado, the Portland Trailblazers at the Utah Jazz, and lastly on ESPN tonight for this NBA doubleheader, you got the Thunder taking on the Spurs in a pivotal matchup in the Western Conference. Lastly, it'll be the Kings taking on the Suns. Major League Baseball action for spring training today. Here are the finals in the Grapefruit League. The Orioles played the Blue Jays. That game goes to Toronto 5-2. Tigers over the Marlins 8-4. The Twins host the Rays. That game goes to the Rays 2-1 by Tampa Bay. The New York Mets over the New York Yankees 7-2. Phillies host the Astros. The game goes to the Astros 7-1. Cardinals, they shut out the Nationals 1-0. The Athletics at the Brewers right now. It's 9-4 Milwaukee. Dodgers lead the Padres 9-5. Angels lead the Indians 4-3. And one final today before we get to these other three games. The Giants losing to the Rockies 5-2. All these games are in the Cactus League. Three other games tonight, by the way. You got the White Sox at the Royals, Cubs at the Mariners, and lastly, the Rangers taking on the Reds. This update is brought to you by the Flipper at flipperflipper.com. When we come back from this commercial break and update, we will have more sports talk with Jeff Escow and Sean Mann. And coming up at the top of the hour, Ron Gallo.
I had PTSD. Once I was back from Iraq, I was distant from everybody in my family.
We had a reunion of our unit, and you'd hear these spouses say, "Is your husband doing that? My husband's doing that too. I thought it was just us." And really understanding that, hey, this is a common experience.
I learned more to listen to what he was saying, and that made it easier for me to understand where his pain was coming from.
Warriors should know that resources are available. Learn more at realwarriors.net.
Every parent wants the safest and healthiest products for their family. That's why I created The Honest Company. I was just a concerned mom with a crazy dream. A wish that there was a company that I could rely on that did all of the hard work for me. I'm Jessica Alba, and The Honest Company was my dream.
LegalZoom has helped 1 million businesses successfully get started, including Jessica's. Launch your dream at LegalZoom today. Call us. We're here to help.
Confusion ever someone or have sudden you trouble had speaking, understanding?
Understanding trouble? Have you sudden have or speaking someone ever confusion?
Have you ever had sudden confusion, trouble speaking, or understanding someone?
It could be one of the 5 signs of stroke.
Sudden weakness or numbness of the face, arm, or leg.
Sudden trouble with vision in one or both eyes.
Suddenly having trouble walking or difficulty with balance.
Or a sudden intense headache that comes out of nowhere.
If you or someone you know has any of these symptoms, don't wait. Call 911 immediately. You could make a difference in someone's life, someone you love, maybe even your own.
It's late until, wait, don't too.
Don't wait until it's too late. Time lost is brain lost.
Find out more at powertoendstroke.org. Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Hey everybody, this is Sky, and when I want to know what's going on in the wonderful world of sports, I tune to Sports World Radio.
All right, welcome back to Sports World Radio. Jeff Escow, Sean Mann, bringing you the fastest 2 hours of sports talk each and every Monday through Friday right here on SportsWorldRadio.com. 6 o'clock on the East, 3 o'clock on the West, and if you live in the Central,
figure that out for yourself.
Damn Skippy. All right, so before we went to our update and commercial break, we were talking about Adrian Peterson's agent says that he doesn't want to be in Minnesota no more. Well, there's really only one team he really wants to play for, and we all know what that one team is. And if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, I want the house for that one player. I don't care.
It's either 2 choices, Minnesota or Dallas.
That's correct. Correct. And if Dallas Cowboys don't give me what I want for him, guess what's going to happen?
Back to Minnesota, and that would be a blow to Jerry Jones because then he doesn't get a chance to go to Dallas, and then that results in the fact that the Cowboys have totally blown their off season.
Oh, poor bubblers. Oh.
Another story I have 51 minutes after the hour, the owners want change in 2015. The NFL's dullest play, the extra point, appears to be headed for some changes, perhaps significant ones for the 2015 season. While team owners didn't vote on any extra point proposals Wednesday, there was so much discussion and interest in potential changes that the issue will be a main focal point for the next set of league meetings in May. Quote, there's a clear movement to wanting to change and change it this year. I don't really care, in my opinion. Keep the extra point the way it is. That's the way it should always be in football. Who cares if you're kicking an easy little extra point and, a point after touchdown? That's the way it's always been.
You like my idea, Sean? My idea that I said yesterday on the show, instead of having the touchdown worth 6 points and you have the extra point kick to make it 7, or you go for the 2 and you make it 8. How about this? Just have the touchdowns worth 7 points and move on. You get rid of both. You get rid of both the extra point and the 2 conversion point. Get rid of them both. Have the touchdown worth 7 points. Move on.
I totally agree, but this is a big decision that the NFL owners and the NFLPA has to make. And
then they're going to turn around to me and say, yeah, but what about the place kicker? Well, you still got to kick a 34-yard field goal for 3 points, don't you? That's where he is. Okay? Move the game along a little faster. The game is just a tad slow. Touchdown, 7 points, commercial, come back, kick off the ball to the other team, and let's move on. How about that?
Several proposals to change the extra point will be considered by NFL owners in May. Some of the ideas discussed at these meetings include, quote, actually, here's a couple ideas. Placing the ball on the 1.5-yard line instead of the 2-yard line, where PAT attempts are now attempted to encourage teams to try for a 2-point conversion.
What's another one?
Moving all extra point attempts to the 15-yard line.
Right, they want to move it back.
Allowing teams to choose between trying for 2 at the 1/2 or attempting a PAT kick at the 15-yard line.
Anything else?
Eliminating the PAT kicks
altogether.
Entirely.
Right? Eliminating the PAT kicks altogether, right?
Entirely. Correct.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That's the one I'd vote for right there. Beautiful.
Requiring teams to run a play from scrimmage.
Huh?
Requiring teams to run a play from scrimmage.
Why? Get rid of the freaking PAT. Get rid of the freaking PAT altogether. Okay? Get rid of that freaking kick. Get rid of the point after kick altogether. Get rid of that 1-point freaking kick. Get rid of the 2-point kick. Make the touchdown 7 points. Go to commercial. Come back from commercial. Have the kickoff. Done. Instead of scoring a touchdown, going to commercial, coming back, watching the field goal, going to commercial, coming back, kickoff. No. Get rid of that crap. Get rid of it altogether. Rat bastards. You got another one?
Allowing the defense to score, as in college football.
Oh, come on. Now you're talking. No, this is professional football. This is the NFL. You don't do anything college teams, college NCAA does. You're better than that.
Allowing the defense to score, as in college football, if the ball is turned over on a 2-point try.
Oh, shit, the ball. Okay. Get the hell out of it. That's stupid. First of all, it's way too long. Okay? Second of all, it's stupid. I bet you Skip Bayless agrees with that.
I'm sure Skippy would agree with that.
That's how stupid that is. You got another one for me?
No, I don't. But a quote that came out from the story, quote, it's a way to encourage dialogue to make sure that the extra point isn't just some ceremonial play. Even if you want to move the extra point back, if you don't do it significantly enough, you don't affect the dynamic of the play. So I think it's got to be something significant.
Get rid of it.
And it's for the preseason.
Get rid of it. Get rid of it and make the touchdown 7 points and move on.
The owners also approved teams with retractable roofs being allowed to open them at halftime, weather permitting, and allowing linebackers to wear numbers from 40 to 49. Previously, they could wear only numbers in the 50s and 90s.
Okay.
So they're trying to make so many changes for the NFL before the season begins for 2015.
Okay, let me see here. I think I found that article. I found it on Yahoo, I think. So, which I'm okay with because I can just watch it afterwards, but I can read it, see if they have a list. No, they don't have the list like you had. I like the idea of them getting rid of it altogether. Okay, I like that idea. Let's get rid of it.
I agree, too, and I think it's a smart decision that they can try to make changes for the extra point, but try to leave everything college football to college football.
They're going to actually put something together. They came up with about 30 to they said we had about a 30 to 40 minute discussion on an extra point. A very interesting and lively discussion with lots of ideas, clearly positive in support of making a change. I think in the next 30 days you will see the competition committee in conjunction with a lot of coaches develop a lot of alternatives and be ready to put something forward for potentially a vote in May. And that was competition committee co-chair Rich McKay saying that. How about that?
That's crazy. And it's something we're going to see a lot more in May as the owners continue to meet during that month to see what they can do to keep improving the game for the NFL.
I think they should get rid of it, man. Just get rid of it altogether and make the touchdown 7 points. And move on. Let's speed this game up a little bit, man. Move on.
To the Dallas Cowboys now, before we go to the top of the hour break and we bring in Ron Gallo. Here's what Jason Garrett said on Greg Hart. He goes, look, quote, we brought him in and spent a couple days with him. So he felt like understanding who he is as a person was a critical piece to this. Evaluating who he is a player was a critical piece to it. The structure of the contract was critical to it. At the end of the day, if we didn't believe he could become the right kind of guy for our football team, we wouldn't have signed him.
Right.
But that's Jerry Jones talking. That was Jerry Jones doing it all along, where he gave him a one-year contract, and he thought that this would be a very good move. It was a one-year, $13 million deal for Hardy.
Exactly.
And I know, Jeff, you're not very thrilled about that move either.
No, I'm not. But that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. And you want to know something? How great would it be if Minnesota says we want Greg Hardy in the trade for Adrian Peterson? How great would that be?
That would be shocking and very surprising for that day.
It would be, but how funny would that be, though? Huh?
Crazy.
How funny would that be? Considering the mayor of Dallas is not happy with Dallas because of they signed that guy. So I think that would be pretty funny.
It'd be funny, and I'd get a laugh out of it.
Yeah, I think that would be hysterical. Yeah, it's exactly, Shaba. The Vikings need to look at AP as a new Herschel Walker in any trade. Well, it's going to go to the same team. It's the same two teams involved again. But he's not in his prime, and he didn't play last year, and I don't think he's worth $13 million this year. He didn't get hit last year. He got hits once this year. You know what can happen? Snap. Anything could break on him because he's not used to being hit in a year. And you can't simulate football games getting hit that hard like that anywhere else but in a real football game. So I don't care what anybody has to say. We're going to run to our top of the hour break. When we come back, we'll have Ron Gallo, and we'll be talking hockey. So Shaba, go find Laura and tell her ass to get over here because we got Ron Gallo in the Hockey Guru Sports World Radio coming on in for the next hour. You're listening to Jeff Escow and Showman on
Sports World Radio.
We'll be right back.
Storms move fast, so we use the best technology. That includes Bosch Icon wiper blades.
They're beam blades with memory tension springs and an aerodynamic design,
which means they fit the curve of the windshield. Bosch Icon wiper blades wiped our windshield clean and outlasted any other blade we've used. In my opinion, the Bosch Icon wiper blades are the best blades out there. Bosch Icon wiper blades, how storm chasers clear the way.
Chloe is 9 months old.
She is the greatest thing ever.
One little smile, one little laugh. Anybody? We would do anything for her. My name is Kim Bryant, and my husband and I made a will on LegalZoom.
It was really easy to do.
We created LegalZoom to help you take care of the ones you love. Go to LegalZoom.com today and complete your will in minutes. At LegalZoom.com, we put the law on your side.
Hi, I'm Montel Williams. Most of you know me as a talk show host, but I'm also an author, actor, single father of 4, a fitness writer, avid snowboarder, and I'm also a medical marijuana patient. Like many of the million people who are living with multiple sclerosis, I'm in pain every single day. And sometimes my nerves are so raw that if you brushed up against me in an elevator, I'd scream. I can't sleep at night from the pain, and sometimes the spasms in my legs are so intense they will wake me up throughout the night. I've tried the strongest prescription medications available, and I'm going to tell you, they do not work. In fact, they leave me in a stupor, and most of the time, it's impossible to even live your life. Now, I've tried medical marijuana, and I'm going to tell you something, it works. If you'd like more information about medical marijuana, you can contact the Marijuana Policy Project at mpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
Hey, Hey everybody, this is Sky. And when I want to know what's going on in the wonderful world of sports, I tune to Sports World Radio.
Hey, welcome back to Sports World Radio. Jeff Escow, Sean Mann, bringing you the fastest 2 hours of sports talk each and every Monday through Friday right here on SportsWorldRadio.com. We're in the second hour of today's show. It is Wednesday. It is Wednesday, so you know what that means. Every Wednesday in the second hour of the show, we bring in our Canadian connection, our hockey guru of Sports World Radio, Ron Gallo. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Jeff. How you doing?
Good, pal. How are you?
Doing all right. Trying to stay warm.
Sounds like you got a little bit of a cold.
Got this little bit of a cold, but you know what? The hockey is certainly heating up right now.
I bet it is. Tell us what's going on in the hockey world, my friend.
Well, you guys opened up my microphone during the commercial break, and so obviously not all the listeners can hear what's being said, but the first words out of Sean's mouth really sum it up in the NHL right now. All the talk is about the Boston Bruins free fall and the Ottawa Senators' quick rise to the postseason. There's still lots of games to be played. Lots can happen, but the way things are going right now, the Boston Bruins, they were, get this, late February, they were 17 points ahead of the Ottawa Senators. They are now 1 point behind the Ottawa Senators and out of a playoff spot.
I just don't see it happening. They have been bad. You cannot always rely on overtimes and shootouts to win, Ron. It's hurting the Bruins tremendously. And I tried to explain this to Kathy because Kathy is a big Boston Bruins fan. I said, Kathy, you're missing the point here. The point is that the Bruins know perfectly well that they need to win and gain points. If you're going to get to the playoffs, you have to win and you have to gain points if you're going to get into the playoffs. And she's missing the whole point.
Wow, look at Sean taking the side of a neutral broadcaster there. Holy freaking Toledo.
That's part of the game. That's part of hockey.
Well, it is, but I mean, the thing is that we've been watching Boston kind of unravel here throughout the year, and it's not something that just happened in the last 10 days. It's not something that happened in the last meeting last Thursday against the Ottawa Senators. It's kind of been going on and off. We talked about it. Zdeno Chara being injured, that was a major contributing factor to the fact that the Boston Bruins were having a little bit of a lack of success early on. But when you look at it, Boston has struggled, period. Boston has struggled here in the last little while, and it's not going to get any easier. When you look at this last games that the Boston Bruins have played, their record is not very good. It's not making Boston Bruins fans happy. But at the same token, and I got to throw this in there because this is not me, but I mean, I try to stay neutral as much as possible. But those people who listen closely enough will pick up what team that I cheer for the most. And there's a shirt out right now. You can buy this sweater, and I totally was thinking of Sean when I saw it, Jeff. But it says I cheer for two teams: the Montreal Canadiens and any team that beats the Boston Bruins. So, anyways, I mean, It could be worse. I mean, look at the Toronto Maple Leafs. It could definitely be worse. 16 years, the Air Canada Centre has been the home of the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have had in the last, I think it's 8 years, 13 seasons. 13 seasons out of the last 16 that they've been in the Air Canada Centre, they have sold out every game. When they were first moving over to the Air Canada Centre, they had a couple of games that weren't quite sold out. 13 years, that spell, that came to an end on Monday. And they have had their lowest attendance figure in 16 years, their lowest attendance figure ever at the ACC, the brand new building. It's not brand new anymore, but 16 years old. But the new arena for the Toronto Maple Leafs, And that's how things have gone for the center of the universe when it comes to hockey. We've talked about this many times, Sean. The Toronto Maple Leafs, diehard fans, without question. They live and they die by the sword, the blade of the stick of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Toronto Maple Leafs have been letting them down far too often. And this team is going to be blowing up in the offseason, and that's what you're suggesting is going to happen with the Boston Bruins. I believe that the chemistry with the Boston Bruins is sorely lacking right now. They're 1 point out. The problem is in their last 10 games, they haven't been doing very well. They've been able to pull themselves back to about 500, but they were on a 6-game losing streak there for a while, and they were only able to pick up 2 single points. So in just over a month, they have had only a handful of points, whereas you look at the Ottawa Senators, and they have gone 9-1-0, and they are on a current 7-game win streak, and they are about to take on the juggernauts in the East. The New York Rangers are next up for the Ottawa Senators.
With the Bruins, you go back to it real quickly. I blame it all on ownership, because Peter Chiarelli is the one that made the biggest mistakes of all. He got rid of Johnny Boychuk before the season started. He let go of Sean Thornton. He got rid of Ignala. He got rid of a lot of big talent for the Boston Bruins, and that's who I center it on. I saw something today from WEEI 93.7 Boston on Facebook that said that it might be better, Ron, that the Bruins decide to fire general manager Peter Chiarelli from the team.
Well, and I mean, that's bound to happen. I mean, a lot of times these happen during the season, but I think that the Boston Bruins are going to stay pat until you get to the off season, but you're going to see some major changes. But you know what? A year ago, Sean, you were singing the praises of this Boston Bruins team, and Chicago is about to go through the same thing. I see Chicago having some serious problems in 1 year from now if they don't sort this out. They've got the same nucleus that they've had for too many seasons, and what happens is there becomes a little bit of complacency in the dressing room. The dressing room loses chemistry. Players come, players go. There's a shift in power. You name it. It happens. And unfortunately, you need to shake it up over time. You talked about Jerome McGinley. Here's an example of a player that had been digging his heels in and going nowhere with the Calgary Flames. And so he decided to pack his bags and go for brighter horizons, and decided that, you know what, I'm going to go play for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Well, the Penguins don't do anything. So he packed up his bags and he went to Boston. Well, the Boston Bruins don't do anything for him. So he packed up his bag and he goes to the Colorado Avalanche. You want to know something? Take a look at the track record of Jerome McGinley, and teams will probably be a little bit worried about picking up a player like Jerome McGinley, because every team he's gone to has floundered. The Colorado Avalanche go from a Cinderella team last year to a team that's gone the outside looking in and is highly doubtful to make the postseason in the West.
Hello there, Browning. Good to see you there, bud. Ron, so you're kind of saying, from what I was hearing you say, is that this is probably the final shot that the Blackhawks have to try to win a Stanley Cup, because you believe that next year things will really start changing from them.
If the Chicago Blackhawks stay the way they are, then yes, they're going to have some serious problems and some serious issues. Patrick Kane right now, you look at certain things with the Chicago Blackhawks, and point-wise, they're there. But for me, they resemble the Boston Bruins of last year, and that is a team that was making everything work. They're going to make it to the postseason. They're going to play 2 rounds. They're going to lose out, and then who knows what happens in the offseason. If they don't make some strategic changes and plans for the future, they're going to have too many players that are just used to doing what's always being done, and they're not going to accomplish anything next year. That's my prediction for the Chicago Blackhawks if they don't make some major changes. Too many times what happens is you look at your team and you kind of go, wow, you know what, we were this close. The Vancouver Canucks did the same thing a couple of years ago. You look, it's a trend. It's without a question with teams at the top. You have got to make a major shuffle or at least identify the key pieces that need to be moved to strengthen the team down the road. When you look at any team, and I don't care what sport it is, you're going to have marquee players. But every year that marquee player becomes a year older and a percentage less effective than he was the year before. He either needs to have the right pieces to support him, a supporting cast, or he needs to be moved altogether. When you're dealing with a marquee player, and there's lots of them with Chicago, there's a few with the Boston Bruins, there's also some, as far as I'm concerned, and I've said this for a couple of years, there's some cancers in that Boston Bruins dressing room. I don't know Brad Marchand personally, but things that he does on and off the ice, too many times it's a PR nightmare for the Boston Bruins to deal with Marchand and what he's doing.
I have a question, Ron, going back to Toronto. I'm looking at this for the NHL right now. A big headline, Mike Babcock, who's with the Detroit Red Wings. Will he go to Toronto?
It's hard to say. The coach that's in place right now went in as an interim basis coach, and he's done nothing with the team. The team has gone nowhere under his guidance, and they are sitting 4th overall in the NHL. So they are in the Connor McDavid sweepstakes, which Connor McDavid is the phenom coming out of the OHL, the Erie Otters, and is expected to go 1st overall in this summer's NHL entry draft. And a team like the Buffalo Sabres could end up with him. A team like the Arizona Coyotes could end up with him. Those two teams right now, along with the Edmonton Oilers, are the top 3 teams that are in that Connor McDavid sweepstakes. The Toronto Maple Leafs, again, they're bad, but they're just not bad enough to even win the Connor McDavid sweepstakes. They've got too many points. They just seem to pick up enough points to make things worse for themselves. But that stated, the Toronto Maple Leafs need a major overhaul. Now, we talked about this 2 weeks ago, Sean, so I'm going to ask you real quickly because I know we have to go to a commercial break here soon. But a few seasons ago, you had a generational player like Sidney Crosby come into the league, went straight to the Pittsburgh Penguins, turned that franchise around. Connor McDavid is said to be another generational player that's expected to come into the league and be able to make that much of an impact on a team. But he still needs to have a supporting cast. So I asked this question again, and I asked it 2 weeks ago. Do you trade your number 1 overall pick for a bunch of players, or do you hold out the hope that one player like Connor McDavid will turn your team around in the coming years?
We'll get to that when we get back right after this commercial break. You're listening to Jeff Eskin and Sean Mann on
Sports World Radio.
This message brought to you by FEMA. Stay fire safe this winter. Turn portable heaters off when you go to bed or leave the room. Keep anything that can burn at least 3 feet away. Plug portable heaters directly into wall outlets. Inspect and replace damaged cords, broken outlets, or loose connections. Use portable heaters with an automatic shutoff so that if they tip over, they turn off. Only use portable heaters approved by a recognized testing laboratory. Learn more at www.usfa.fema.gov.
Did you know that just 30 minutes a day of physical activity can improve your health and decrease your risk of heart disease? For every hour of regular, vigorous exercise, you gain 2 hours of life expectancy. So start walking for yourself and for your heart. Start walking with your family. You'll feel better. Start walking in your community. You'll lead happier and healthier lives. Start walking. Start something. Join the movement today. For more information on the American Heart Association's START program, visit startwalkingnow.org and start walking. Start something.
This message brought to you by FEMA. Home fires occur most often in winter. Keep anything that can catch fire at least 3 feet from heating equipment. And never use an oven to heat your home. Stay in the kitchen when frying, grilling, or broiling food. Turn space heaters off when you leave the room or go to bed. Make sure all vents are clear of snow and ice to allow carbon monoxide to vent outside. Have your furnace, heating system, and chimneys serviced each year by a qualified professional. Learn more at www.usfa.fema.gov.
What kind of person gets to work in the sunshine instead of an office? This kind of person. I am the new way to work. I do have an office. I'm just not chained to it. It's a Regis office at one of the nicest addresses in the city. I don't have a lease, so I don't have to budget for stuff like phones, IT guys, and artwork for the lobby. Instead, I pay one low monthly rate that gives me a beautiful lobby that impresses my clients, a friendly receptionist, a fully furnished office, a place to meet, and a place to brainstorm with my fellow new way to workers. We wonder why more people don't realize that the new way to work is the best way to work. I come here because I want to, not because I have to. I am the new way to work, and I'd like you to join me.
Start now and get 1 month free. Call 1-800-OFFICES or visit regis.com/TV.
Hey everybody, this is Sky, and when I want to know what's going on in the wonderful world of sports, I tune to Sports World Radio.
Welcome back to Sports World Radio. Jeff Escow, Sean Mann, bringing you the fastest 2 hours of sports talk each and every Monday through Friday right here on SportsWorldRadio.com. And every Wednesday in the second hour, our good friend from the Canadian connection out there, Sports World Radio's very own Ron Gallo with us today. How you doing, buddy? Glad you're back.
Yeah, it's easy for you to say, hey, Jeff.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why I was having problems there. So before we went to break, you asked a serious question. Why don't you revamp that question and we'll get right to it?
Well, the revamp question is that every year, of course, there's a number one pick. And every year there's a player that's figured to be this number one pick. But every few years, there's what's called a generational pick. And it's a player that's going to come through and represent his generation and be one of those iconic type players that changes the game, changes the face of the team at the very least. You look at some of these players through the hockey history and names like Gordie Howe, Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Sidney Crosby with the Pittsburgh Penguins come to mind as maybe one of the most recent ones. The next one, the one that's on the doorstep, and I say this one is on the doorstep because he is destined to be picked number one in this summer's NHL entry draft, is a gentleman by the name of Connor McDavid. McDavid is a machine. In 47 games he's played, he's got 44 goals, 76 assists. He's a plus 60 on the ice. When he's on the ice, his team scores. This player makes the highlight reels every game he plays. He's got a highlight reel goal for every one that he has scored. He is projected to go number one, and he's projected to be a generational player. Now, here's the problem. We look at the talent pool for these teams right now that are going to get this number one pick. And you're dealing with a team like the Edmonton Oilers, who have had 5 number one picks and are potentially looking at getting their 6th in their last 7 years if they win the lottery. You've got Buffalo Sabres, who are in dire need of something to reprop this team. The Buffalo Sabres thought that they had did in the offseason. They haven't. They are struggling at the bottom of the NHL standings. You look at a little bit farther away, you've got the Toronto Maple Leafs. All of these teams could use a player like Connor McDavid. But seriously, my question is, do you take a player like Connor McDavid and try and build around him, or do you sacrifice it? Do you gamble it? It's the high risk, high reward. And do you trade that number one pick to another team who has a ton of assets to give up, and that you can maybe build a stronger team right away? Instead of taking one player, you get 5 players in return.
No, that's every professional sports team's nightmare, isn't it?
It can be. I mean, did you see that movie Draft Day with Kevin Costner?
Yes, I did.
You know what? I mean, love it or hate the movie.
You know what? Something?
The message was there.
That was one hell of a move that he made.
Yeah.
Did you see that movie, Sean?
No, I did not.
And it was kind of funny that it happened to be about the Cleveland Browns, about the same time that Johnny Manziel went to Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
Happened to be just that going on, right?
Indeed.
So, yeah, Sean, if you haven't seen that movie, watch that movie. That was one hell of a move he pulled off. But that's every GM's nightmare right there. Do I take the sure thing, or do I drop down and get 5, 6, 7 guys to help our team out? Do I take the sure thing?
Because the thing is that with every draft pick, there's always a question. Like everybody wants to find what's wrong with this player. Like, why should I not pick him? Everybody knows why you should pick a draft player, a draft-eligible player. I mean, that's why you've got scouts. That's why you've got stats. That's why you've got educational advisors. That's why you have testing for the NHL Draft Combine. Will bring in psychological evaluations on these players. But the question is, seriously, do you put all of your eggs in one basket and say, yes, Connor McDavid is going to be that generational player and is going to make that difference? Or do you do something like Eric Lindros' situation where Eric refused to play for the team that drafted him because he was the number 1 pick and demanded a trade? You know what Eric Lindros did? Eric Lindros actually helped hoist 2 Stanley Cups, but he never touched it once.
Wow.
Simply because of those big major trades and everything that went. The Quebec Nordiques later became the Colorado Avalanche, and the Colorado Avalanche, of course, Stanley Cup champions with the players that they picked up from Eric Lindros' demanded trade.
Right.
So, on one hand, I'm saying you should probably trade away that number 1 pick and build something like strong. The other hand is, do you think you have enough cards? Do you think you have enough tool? Do you think you have enough salary cap that you can actually go out and buy a team in the offseason to help with the Connor McDavid draft if you end up winning that number 1 pick overall? Just an interesting thought.
That's an interesting thought and a very good point. And that's a tough decision for a general manager to make.
Absolutely, without question. And we'll get back on track, but a lot of times I'll drop names, and that name, I mean, Connor McDavid may sound like a strange name today, but you've been hearing his name probably every week for the weeks in the calendar year of 2015 that I've been on your show, Jeff. And the thing is if you haven't seen a highlight reel for him, type in his name and just find that highlight reel. It's amazing what this kid can do on the ice.
See, and you've dropped names like that before, and every time you drop a name, it's happened.
Yeah, I've done it in basketball. Speaking of basketball, and I don't mean to go too far off the topic of hockey, but Steve Nash announces his retirement. You know what stands out in Canada for Steve Nash?
What's that?
Playing with a busted nose.
Really?
Leaking. Do you remember seeing those images where he got a couple of elbows in the nose, had a broken nose, and still played?
That's right. That's right.
I remember.
That's old-time hockey right there.
I do remember that.
He's a die-hard Vancouver Canucks fan. I remember from 2011 how much he was just itching the Canucks to beat the Bruins in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Exactly. Now Steve Nash is being equated to the equivalent of like a Wayne Gretzky. He has become one of those Canadian icons in basketball that has opened the door for so many other Canadians. I mean, last year at this time, we were talking about Andrew Wiggins, and Andrew Wiggins has now had actually a pretty decent rookie season in the NBA, having been drafted last year first overall.
And there you have it.
But we'll get back into the hockey a little bit and just talk about some of the things that are coming up. You've touched on a couple of the games, and you're going to get into the scoreboard in a moment. Big games today. Probably the biggest is going to be the Dallas Stars and the Calgary Flames. When you look at the standings, you'll know why those two are the biggest games that I'm picking for tonight. There's only 3 games on the schedule. But when you look at the standings in the West, The Calgary Flames have 86 points. They play in the same division as the Los Angeles Kings. The Los Angeles Kings are sitting on the outside of a wild card spot with 86 points as well. So they're tied as far as points go with the Calgary Flames. The reason why Calgary is in, they win the tiebreaker for wins versus losses. They have 40 wins, whereas the Los Angeles Kings have 36. Most of the points for Los Angeles have come in overtime decisions. They've had 14 games decided in overtime, and that's how come they still have 86 points. The Dallas Stars are at 80 points. They don't look like they're going to be making it into the postseason, but they can play spoiler, or if you're a Los Angeles Kings fan, they could end up playing the Los Angeles Kings Cinderella team, if you will. If Dallas wins tonight, simply because of the way tiebreakers work, the Los Angeles Kings will have a game in hand, so they'll automatically be bumped into a playoff spot. So this is a huge game for the Calgary Flames, a team 2 years ago that was struggling in the bottom of the pack.
This is what happened. I'm just going to say, this is what happens, Ron and Jeff, when you get toward the end of NHL. And I have to bring NBA into this. I know we're talking about NHL here, Ron, but this is the point when teams that are not serious about the playoffs and are like really, really bad, they say, heck, we got nothing to lose. Let's just go out there and beat the teams that are really, really good and play spoiler. And that's what you're saying about the Dallas Stars. They can do that. Here they are, 35, 28, and 10, 80 points, but there's still a team out there that can beat the top teams.
The funny thing about the Dallas Stars, look at their recent record. They've won their last 3 games. In their last 10, they're 8 wins with 2 losses. They're no slouch team. Dallas can beat Calgary tonight without question. Calgary has a 6-2-2 record right now in their last 10 games. They are coming off of a win, and a big win, I might add. But they need this victory. Otherwise, they get bumped out like the Boston Bruins.
There you have it. Hey, we got to run to our final update of the day. This update is brought to you by the Flipper. Head on over to flipperflipper.com and get your Flipper today. Never, ever touch your toilet seat ever again. It's called the Flipper, and it's at flipperflipper.com. Take it away, Sean Mann, with the final update of the day.
All right, Jeff, thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. 30 minutes after the hour. Cactus League and Major League Baseball with spring training winding down. Here are the games. The Athletics and the Brewers, that game ended at 9-9. Dodgers over the Padres 9-5. The Angels over the Indians 4-3. Rockies 5, Giants 2. 3 other games tonight for Major League Baseball. You have the White Sox taking on the Royals, Cubs at the Mariners, Rangers taking on the Reds. In the Grapefruit League, the Blue Jays 5, the Orioles 2, Tigers 8, Marlins 4, Rays 2, Twins 1, the Mets over the Yankees 7-2, Astros 7, Phillies 1. The Nationals played against the Cardinals. The Cardinals shut them out 1-0. In the NBA, here are the games that we have for tonight, and they are the Nets taking on the Hornets right now, 26-23. The Hornets lead that game. The Knicks hosting the Clippers right now. The Clippers lead 22-10 at Madison Square Garden in New York. Hawks taking on the Magic. Right now, the Magic lead 23-14. Big game because the Hawks know they're trying to get the best record in all of the Eastern Conference and home court advantage. Wizards 16, Pacers 14. The Bulls heading up to Toronto tonight. Right now, the Raptors, they lead 29-18. That game is on ESPN right now. The Heat at the Celtics, Cavaliers at the Grizzlies, Lakers at the Timberwolves, Rockets at the Pelicans, 76ers at the Nuggets, Trailblazers at the Jazz. Other game on ESPN, big one, Thunder taking on the Spurs. And lastly, it'll be the Kings taking on the Suns. National Hockey League, as we're talking about hockey right now, 3 games for tonight. NBC Sports Network, it'll be the Blackhawks taking on the Flyers. That game starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 5 p.m. Pacific. Avalanche at the Oilers, and lastly, it'll be the Stars taking on the Flames. Update is brought to you by the Flipper at flipperflipper.com. When we come back from the commercial break and update, more NHL hockey talk with Ron Gallo Jeff Escow, and Sean Mann.
Welcome to the Man Manual. Man comes with a multifunctional casing known as skin. It is remarkable. Warning, standard body wash can cause damage to man's skin. Maintain it properly with Dove Men Plus Care Body Wash. It cleans man and protects skin from dryness. This will keep man's skin remarkable, even under extreme testing. Dove Men Plus Care Body Wash. Skin care built in. Also, freshen man's exterior with new Aqua Impact Body Wash.
Why does consultant Jerry Howell stay at La Quinta?
Can you come back tomorrow?
Because only with La Quinta can Jerry instant hold the room tonight using just his phone number. And then power down for tomorrow on his pillow top bed. And when Jerry's refreshed, you know what he does?
We need ideas, people. Think. Synergistic integration. Genius.
He thinks outside the box.
I'm going for it. No.
La Quinta Inns and Suites take care of you so you can take care of business. Instant hold your next stay on your smartphone at LQ.com.
La Quinta.
Hi, I'm Montel Williams. Most of you know me as a talk show host, but I'm also an author, actor, single father of 4, a fitness writer, avid snowboarder, and I'm also a medical marijuana patient. Like many of the million people who are living with multiple sclerosis, I'm in pain every single day. And sometimes my nerves are so raw that if you brushed up against me in an elevator, I'd scream. I can't sleep at night from the pain, and sometimes the spasms in my legs are so intense they will wake me up throughout the night. I've tried the strongest prescription medications available, and I'm going to tell you, they do not work. In fact, they leave me in a stupor, and most of the time, it's impossible to even live your life. Now, I've tried medical marijuana, and I'm going to tell you something, it works. If you'd like more information about medical marijuana, you can contact the Marijuana Policy Project at mpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
Hey everybody, this is Sky, and when I want to know what's going on in the wonderful world of sports, I tune to Sports World Radio.
Welcome back to Sports World Radio. Jeff Escow, Sean Mann, bringing you the fastest 2 hours of sports talk each and every Monday through Friday right here on SportsWorldRadio.com. And joining us, like he does each and every Wednesday in the second hour of the show, is our good friend, Hockey Guru's own, Ron Gallo. Okay, so Ron, where did we leave off before we went to break?
Well, just before we went to break, you were talking about the flipper. So I had to go to flipper.com and check it out.
You like that commercial over there, don't you?
I did. I went over there and I checked out the website.
That's a pretty cool commercial, isn't it?
It is.
It's a hot blonde, too, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I know. We're sneaky bastards that way.
No, it's a good job. Good job.
That's right. We got the special going on. You get 2 of them for $9.99.
I saw that as well.
Because every house, listen, every household, 90% of the households in America have 2 bathrooms in them, correct?
That's correct.
So there you go.
Correct.
2 of them for $10. How can you beat that?
You can't. And the premise behind them is actually pretty sound. It's so you don't actually have to directly touch the toilet seat.
Exactly. Who the hell wants to touch a toilet seat? I know I don't like touching the toilet seat.
I'm sorry. I had to throw that in there because I'm like, okay, Jeff has been promoting this here the last 3 weeks, and I haven't gone to the website. So I'm going to the website, and I had a look.
You like it, huh? It's nice, huh?
Good job. See, your little plug there, it worked.
See, that's all you got to do is go to flipper.com and get your flipper today.
All right, back to the NHL.
All right.
First team to make 100 points.
Who was it?
Oh, the Montreal Canadiens.
Figures.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Freaking Canadians, rat bastards.
Carey Price has been on fire. Now, the Montreal Canadiens did lose last night, but they lost in overtime. Their single point gave them 100 points. There are 3 teams that are sitting with 99 points, including the Tampa Bay Lightning, which are in the same division, the Atlantic Division. The New York Rangers play tomorrow night. By the way, Henry Lundqvist will be back in the lineup, but he'll be playing backup. So he's getting close to playoff form, and he will get a few games before the postseason. Hopefully for the New York Rangers and their fans, Lundqvist is at full form and ready to go in time for the postseason because really they depend on Lundqvist a lot, although they have found – here's an example of a team that's figured it out. The New York Rangers have got it going on. They have a record of 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. They did lose their last game out, but that's not the important thing. They are 99 points. They are challenging for the President's Cup. The President's Cup is awarded to the team that finishes in the number one spot in the NHL standings after the regular season. And they did this back in the 93-94 season. They also did what in the summer of 1994, Jeff?
I don't remember.
Hoisted the Stanley Cup.
Hoisted the cup, that's right.
They beat they beat the Vancouver Canucks in 7 games. Where have we heard that before, Sean? 2011. Boston beat Vancouver in 7 games, but the Vancouver Canucks. Minute of it. Yeah, the Vancouver Canucks. Interesting side story. Every weekend, Sportsnet goes around the country and sets up what's called hometown hockey. And last weekend, they were in Prince George. Members of that 1994 Stanley Cup team, Kirk McLean and Jeff Courtnall, were in attendance, and they were reminiscing about the Stanley Cup. You know what's really interesting? These players, now remember, this is 20 years ago. It's 21, really, but this is 20 years ago. And these players remember it like it was yesterday. Jeff Courtnall was talking about how they focused too much on Mark Messier and not the players they should have been focusing on, like Brian Leetch. It was really awesome to hear these players talk about that 1994 Stanley Cup run and making it to Game 7 and ultimately losing out on the grand prize. And Mark Messier, this is the same year that Mark Messier guaranteed a victory over the New Jersey Devils in a first-round matchup with the New Jersey Devils. And if it hadn't been for that, who knows who would have hoisted the Stanley Cup? But the Vancouver Canucks feel that it could have been them if they would have been a little bit smarter about how they approached game number 7.
But it didn't happen.
Didn't happen, and that's just it, right? You look at the other teams and imagine what people like Mike Richter and Brian Leetch and Mark Messier are saying about 1994. This is the epitome of their career for some of those players on that Stanley Cup team. And this is what everybody plays for. When you look now at the playoff race and of the hunt for the Stanley Cup, and you've got teams like the Montreal Canadiens, which after the commercial break, we're going to kind of go through and take a look at where we all picked our teams. The Montreal Canadiens right now, one of the things that's coming true this year is this is the year of the goaltender. And that's why I go back to Henry Lundqvist and saying it's important that he get back to full form. You look at some of the goaltenders that are out there. Pekka Rinne ended up winning the game last night over Carey Price, Nashville Predators over the Montreal Canadiens. That was a goaltenders duo for sure. You look at Marc-Andre Fleury. He's got as many shutouts as Carey Price this year. It is the year of the goaltender, and the goaltender is going to be what wins the Stanley Cup this year. Those goaltenders are going to have to be in top form. When you look at the Vancouver Canucks, they picked up Ryan Miller in the offseason. Ryan Miller has been hurt, but Eddie Lack has done nothing but win games for the Vancouver Canucks. You look at other teams like the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they can't get a solid goaltender between the pipes. They've had nothing but problems, and look where they are. They struggle. You can go down the list. You'd have to tell me what you think of Boston Bruins and whether or not Tuukka Rask is the goaltender that he was a couple of years ago, Sean.
I'd say that with Tuukka Rask, something is not right with him. It's just pointed out before when he even came on that there's something the matter with the Bruins. They've been hit with injuries. They've been losing points. They've been losing overtimes. The shootouts are not very good. And that's why Ottawa, you got to give the Ottawa Senators credit too, because they're a team that wasn't expected to be this good. And now they have overtaken the Bruins for the 8th and final playoff spot. Don't forget about them as a team that can make some noise and possibly match up with Montreal in the first round. The 8th against the 8 against 1.
The funny thing about the Ottawa Senators, before Christmas, nobody liked Andrew Hammond. Andrew Hammond is the goaltender for the Ottawa Senators. Now he's been doing nothing but creating a sensation. They're calling him the Hamburger, and now fans are throwing hamburgers on the ice at the end of the game for the hamburger. It's gotten so bad, actually, Jeff and Sean, that the Ottawa Senators organization, the hockey team itself, is asking fans not to do it anymore and instead make contributions to the local food bank of hamburgers in the Senators' name and in Andrew Hammond's name. So maybe some good of that, some social good can come of that. But the Ottawa Senators right now, without question, are riding on their goaltender, the hamburger.
Question is, though, too, Ron, with what we've seen from Ottawa, can they overtake the Bruins and win it? This one could go down to the final day and down to the wire, but I don't think it's going to go down to the wire because the Ottawa Senators are clicking at the right time, and the Bruins are not clicking at the right time. And this is not the time to be going on a slump. When you're in contention and you're trying to get into the postseason, you have to start winning games. And that's the point with the Bruins. It's been such anger out of Bruins fans because everybody thought in Boston and all of New England that the Bruins were going to be so good this year, but we haven't seen it.
All right. Well, here I'm gonna kind of count out the last few games of the season for the Ottawa Senators and the Boston Bruins. I'm going to try and do this quick and get it in before the commercial break. Tomorrow night, the Ottawa Senators have probably their biggest test so far of their latest run. If they beat the New York Rangers, watch out. That's all I'm going to say. That win over the New York Rangers could become the monumental turning point if they haven't already had one. It would become the icing on the cake if they have had one of those monumental turnarounds. The other thing is that they've got games coming up. Yeah, they've got 2 against the Toronto Maple Leafs. People call those for sure wins. Nothing is a for sure win. They have to play Florida. They have to play Detroit. They have to play Tampa Bay. They have to play Washington, Pittsburgh, another game against the Rangers, and they close out the season with a game against the Philadelphia Flyers. These are not easy games for the Ottawa Senators, without question. You look at the Boston Bruins last few games of the regular season, and you know what? There's a glimmer of hope for Boston. Yes, they do have to play Anaheim, and then they have to play the New York Rangers. But then things get easy for Boston. Boston has to take advantage of the fact that they're playing teams like Carolina, Florida, Detroit, Toronto in 4 consecutive games. They should have 3 wins right there without question. Then they have Washington, Florida, and Tampa Bay. If they can get those 3 wins out of 4, then they should be able to get a couple more in their last 3. If that's the case, then Boston should be able to make it into the postseason. The difference is there right now, their psyche is so weak because they've lost so many games and picked up so few points, and now they find themselves playing 2 of the top teams in the NHL on back-to-back games, starting tomorrow night with the Anaheim Ducks and then the New York Rangers on Saturday. If Boston can't get something positive out of those games, this season is done for Boston.
All right,
it's done, and there's a lot of questions.
All right, let's run to our final break of the day. You listen to Jeff Escal, Sean Mann, and Ron Gallo on
Sports World Radio.
We'll be right back.
I had PTSD. Once I was back from Iraq, I was distant from everybody in my family.
We had a reunion of our unit, and you'd hear these spouses say, "Is your husband doing that? My husband's doing that too. I thought it was just us." And really understanding that, hey, this is a common experience.
I learned more to listen to what he was saying, and that made it easier for me to understand where his pain was coming from.
Warriors should know that resources are available. Learn more at realwarriors.net.
Every parent wants the safest and healthiest products for their family. That's why I created The Honest Company. I was just a concerned mom with a crazy dream. A wish that there was a company that I could rely on that did all of the hard work for me. I'm Jessica Alba, and The Honest Company was my dream.
LegalZoom has helped 1 million businesses successfully get started, including Jessica's. Launch your dream at LegalZoom today. Call us. We're here to help.
Confusion ever someone or have sudden you trouble had speaking, understanding?
Understanding trouble? Have you sudden have or speaking someone ever confusion?
Have you ever had sudden confusion, trouble speaking, or understanding someone?
It could be one of the 5 signs of stroke.
sudden weakness or numbness of the face, arm, or leg,
sudden trouble with vision in one or both eyes,
suddenly having trouble walking or difficulty with balance,
or a sudden intense headache that comes out of nowhere.
If you or someone you know has any of these symptoms, don't wait. Call 911 immediately. You could make a difference in someone's life, someone you love, maybe even your own.
It's late until, wait, don't too. Don't wait until it's too late.
Time lost is brain lost.
Find out more at powertoendstroke.org. Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Hey everybody, this is Sky, and when I want to know what's going on in the wonderful world of sports, I tune to Sports World Radio.
Alright, welcome back to Sports World Radio. Jeff Escow, Sean Mann, bringing you the fastest 2 hours of sports talk each and every Monday through Friday right here on SportsWorldRadio.com. We're in our final segment of today's show. We're going about an hour and 45. We got one final segment to go. And Ron said to me during the commercial break that he's got a question for me. So bring it.
It's an easy one. It's more of a memory test. I'm just wondering if you remember the hockey player that played for the Calgary Flames, also played for the Toronto Maple Leafs for a while, had this great big red mustache.
The only hockey player I remember that had a great big red mustache was back in the 80s, was Mike Nordstrom.
There was Mike Nordstrom, but there was also the Canadian, Lanny McDonald.
I'm American, dude. I went with the American guy.
I see that. Lanny McDonald scored 500 goals, had 1,006 points, and won the Stanley Cup in 1989 with the Calgary Flames. The reason why I'm bringing up Lanny McDonald's name, he's going to be the next chair of the board for the Hockey Hall of Fame. Now, this is in Toronto. It's the Hockey Hall of Fame. If you guys ever get a chance to come into Toronto, come into Canada, and stop in Toronto, you got to stop in at the Hockey Hall of Fame. There is so much great memorabilia. It's no different than any other Hall of Fame for any other sports out there. But if you ever want to get just a sense of what it's all about with the game of hockey, you got to check out the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto.
I will do that if I'm ever up there in Canada, eh?
I had an opportunity myself when I was back east, and it's one of those places you have to stop in and take in and be a part of.
Personally, the first Hall of Fame I really want to go to is the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Or the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland.
I'd rather go to the Basketball Hall of Fame.
I'll be going to the Basketball Hall of Fame, Jeff, when I'm in Boston.
Well, you better be taking some good pictures, and make sure you go to the Knicks wing and take some pictures for me, okay?
Celtics first, then the Knicks.
Oh, yeah, you rat bastard. Of course you would do that.
As long as it's in there.
Yeah, I've never seen it, so yeah, do that for me. I would like to see that place. That's on my bucket list, is to get to the Basketball Hall of Fame and the NFL and the MLB one as well.
It's in Springfield, Massachusetts, so I'll be going to that.
Exactly. Okay, so we wanted to finish up the hockey segment today with, we at the beginning of the season, the three of us picked during preseason, picked our teams that we thought that were going to make it to the finals. Correct? Ron?
We did, and Sean's got the list. Sean's the keeper of the list, and for the life of me, I can't remember if we picked just the divisional winners or if we went into the Stanley Cup and tried to figure out who was going to be Eastern and Western Conference champs.
From what we did, this was in late September of last year, Ron, we did talk about the division winners from the Atlantic, the Metropolitan, and the Western Conference.
All right, so these would have been...
And the Stanley Cup. I also have the Stanley Cup down for what we picked.
Okay, so we're kind of looking at the final four.
Right.
All right. Let's run through the list, Sean, real quickly. I'm interested. Right now, in the Atlantic Division, the top three teams are the Montreal Canadiens, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Detroit Red Wings.
That is correct. All right, here we go. If you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff and Ron, here's the list. Me, at the beginning of the year, I went with the Boston Bruins. Look how bad that went.
Of course you went with the Boston Bruins. I would expect nothing else from you.
Ron Gallo, you went with the Detroit Red Wings.
That hurts. As a Montreal Canadiens fan, I didn't even pick my team.
Nice. Way to go, buddy.
Josh Lopez was in this too. He went with the Boston Bruins.
Oh, he went with the Bruins too, and not even his Chicago Blackhawks. What the hell's up with that?
That's still coming. That's in the West.
Oh,
Jeff Escal, you picked the Detroit Red Wings.
Interesting. So Detroit goes to Jeff and Ron, and currently Detroit is sitting third in the Atlantic Division and has an opportunity to make the postseason as a regular seeded team as opposed to a wild card position. So that's all right. What about Metropolitan now? Right now, as we stand, and there's teams in action, the New York Rangers, New York Islanders, there's a surprise for me, and the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I went with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
You
Ron?
You went with the Pittsburgh Penguins?
Yes, I picked them to win the Metropolitan Division.
Wow.
Ron, you went with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Suckers.
Yep.
Jeff, Philadelphia Flyers.
Anybody but the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Because you don't want Ron, you don't want Wes to win.
That's right. Damn.
Otherwise,
Skippy.
Wes will plaster it on Facebook saying, "Hey, Jeff, Penguins are Stanley Cup champions." Josh, you went with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Wow, a sweep with Sidney Crosby and Marc-Andre Fleury.
And I'm the only one and I'm the smartest one of them all.
Yeah.
And I'm not even the hockey guy. What does that prove to all of you schmucks?
Except that Philadelphia is not going to make the postseason. At least Pittsburgh is sitting in third place in the Metropolitan right now.
I would rather be right than wrong. Or
okay.
I'd rather pick a team that don't make the playoffs than the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Double A was not happy about the way the Flyers played this year.
Oh, poor baby.
All right, what about out west now? So in the Central Division, St. Louis continues to do this. It just surprises the crap out of me. Let's see how they do in the postseason this year. But St. Louis sits number one in the Central, followed by Nashville. That's a surprise for me. And then Chicago, also a bit of a surprise because they're in third place.
Okay, ready? Ron, you picked the Chicago Blackhawks.
Wow.
I went with the St. Louis Blues.
Correct.
Jeff, St. Louis Blues. Josh, Chicago Blackhawks.
I'm 3 for 3 for third place teams. That's not bad.
There you go.
Not
Jeff,
bad.
you're not so bad either since you're not the hockey man.
No, I pay attention sometimes.
You've got you've got one top pick team so far. All right, Pacific Division currently held down by the Anaheim Ducks, followed by the Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames.
Pacific Division. I went with the Los Angeles Kings.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Actually, Anaheim Ducks. Ron, Los Angeles Kings.
Good pick.
Jeff, Los Angeles Kings.
Yeah, I knew we all screwed that pick up good.
Well, I mean, they could be back in the postseason, and this is that team. They did it a couple of years ago where they were on the outside looking in the last 2 weeks, and then just made a run for it, and then ended up in a postseason spot and won it all.
Yeah, won it all. They were the 8th seed when they won that whole thing, right?
Yes, they were.
So they could actually do it again.
Yeah, and no surprise, nobody picked the San Jose Sharks.
No.
Nobody did, and everybody remembers that the Sharks, wasn't it last year? I think it was that they had a 3-0 lead in the first round, and then they blew that series. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, they lost to St. Louis.
I remember that.
Now, you guys remember a couple weeks ago I was talking about Joe Thornton and him and his owner got into it on Twitter? Don't remember that?
No,
That's okay.
I don't remember.
And then I think it was last week I was telling you guys when San Jose was in Winnipeg, they were chanting, "Who's your captain? Who's your captain?" as a jeer against Joe Thornton. Joe Thornton, obviously, Sean, you remember the man. He played for the Boston Bruins for years.
I remember him, and he was very popular there.
Yeah, I think he's done in San Jose. I can't see him sticking around. He's going to want out. He does have a no-trade clause. There's certain teams that he won't accept a trade to, but he can't be sticking around in San Jose. It's just bad for him.
He can't be, and you're wondering, that this is the time that he gets done and it's all finished for Joe Thornton. He's been around for years. I remember the times when he played with the Bruins. He was very popular.
Yeah. Well, no, it's going to be interesting how everything kind of shakes out here down the stretch. Not much has changed in the last 2 weeks, though, you guys, since I've been really watching the standings. There's been a couple of changes with the wild card spots, and the third-seeded teams in the divisions will get bumped out, and then they'll sneak their way back in, and that's what's happened with the Calgary Flames and the Ottawa Senators, as we know, and certainly it's going to be interesting here as we go down the stretch. Everybody's into their final handful of games. There isn't very many left anymore. When you're looking at the schedule, most teams have less than 9 games remaining. So it's going to be an interesting one.
I have a question I got to ask you, Jeff and Ron. I still have the picks up. Do you gentlemen want me to read the Stanley Cup Finals that you remember from last year that you picked?
You got to go quick, though, yep.
Yeah, go quickly, Sean. We're running out of time.
All right, Stanley Cup Finals. Jeff, you picked the Kings and the Sabres. You said Los Angeles could win again, but you got the Kings right, but the Sabres out of it.
Okay. Next.
All right, Ron, you picked the Blackhawks and the Penguins for the Stanley Cup Finals.
Okay.
I'm still holding out with the Blackhawks, to be honest with you. But, obviously I'd be extremely happy if Montreal makes it in and Pittsburgh doesn't.
Next, Sean, go next.
Okay, Bruins, Kings, I picked them. And Josh picked the Blackhawks and the Bruins, a rematch of the 2013 Stanley Cup Finals. Wow. And Frank, he picked the Blackhawks, and he didn't give me the other team from the Eastern Conference.
All right, that's about our time here, guys. I want to thank everybody for listening to us today for the last 2 hours. We really appreciate your time, and we're going to do it again tomorrow. Frank's going to be joining us in the second hour tomorrow, so look forward to that. Until then, my friends, remember, you only have one life to live. Live it long, live it strong, and live it proud. And please don't forget, life may suck, but the alternative is unacceptable. For Sean Mann, Ron Gallo, I'm Jeff Escal. This has been Sports World Radio. Peace out, bitches.
Later.
Hey, boys, Stimpy. We sure had fun today, kid. So long, kids. Come on, Stimpy, say goodbye.
Where are we going?
The show's